Kevin Costner. There is a particular kind of man Hollywood loves to celebrate, but rarely bothers to understand. He is the one who rides into the frame looking like he was born there, who carries a quiet dignity that makes you believe every word without quite knowing why. Kevin Costner built an entire career on that quality, and then spent decades learning that no amount of applause can insulate a person from the ordinary devastation of a human life. 2 marriages unraveled. Children grew up dividing themselves between 2 households. A fortune was staked on a dream that the industry called reckless. The man who protected others on screen, who stood in cornfields and on open plains and in war-torn landscapes, could not protect his own private world from breaking apart. This is not a story about a fallen hero. It is something more complicated and more honest than that. It is the story of a man who kept moving forward even when the ground beneath him refused to stay still. Before fame ever touched Kevin Costner, loss already had. He was born on January 18, 1955, in Linwood, California, the youngest son of William Costner and Sharon Costner. His father started out digging ditches and eventually worked his way up to becoming a power line technician. His mother worked as a social worker, spending her days absorbing other people's hardship before coming home to stretch whatever money they had into something warm and livable. The house was modest, the love inside it was not. But 2 years before Kevin arrived, the family had already suffered the kind of wound that never fully heals. His middle brother, Mark Douglas Costner, was born in 1953 and lived for only a single day. A crib was prepared, a name was chosen, and then he was gone. That loss quietly reshaped both parents. His father grew stricter, his mother grew more careful, and while Kevin was too young to put words to any of it, children feel what adults try to conceal in their silences. What compounded the weight of that loss was the instability of their living situation. The family moved constantly. Compton, Ventura, Ballia, Orange County, chasing work and something close to permanence. By the time Kevin was 12, he had lived the rhythm of packing boxes, saying goodbye to streets he had barely memorized, and starting over in classrooms where everyone else already had friends. Each new town offered the possibility of belonging, then withdrew it before it could take root. He was not the kind of boy who muscled his way into a room. He watched from the edges. He wrote poems about open skies and second chances. He sang in church choirs. The rootlessness that might have turned another kid bitter instead carved something useful into him. Patience, endurance, the ability to begin again without drama. A late growth spurt eventually brought him to 6'1", but the deeper growth was the kind no one measures. Years later, when audiences watched him standing in wide landscapes, looking like a man who had always belonged to the earth, what they were actually seeing was a childhood transformed into conviction. After graduating from California State University, Fullerton, with a degree in marketing and finance, Kevin did what a 23-year-old husband with responsibilities was expected to do. He took a steady job. He wore a clean shirt. He accepted the approval of the people he loved. And he felt himself disappearing from the inside. The office walls, the predictable routine, the safe paycheck, none of it matched the stories he could feel pressing against him from somewhere he couldn't quite name. The moment that changed the direction of his life came, unexpectedly, on a flight home from his honeymoon in Mexico. Sharing the cabin with him was Richard Burton, one of the most celebrated actors of his generation. According to the story Costner has told over the years, he admitted to Burton that he dreamed of acting, but feared he might never be good enough for it. Burton offered brief encouragement, nothing elaborate, just the reassurance of one man telling another not to talk himself out of his own ambitions. Then the plane landed. Burton's limousine pulled away, and Kevin and his young wife waited for a bus. The contrast was vivid. But instead of discouraging him, something in that moment pushed him toward a decision. Within weeks, Kevin quit the job. He packed his essentials, climbed into a battered Datsun, and drove toward Los Angeles, with barely enough money for gas. What followed was not the romantic version of struggling toward a dream. It was cold rooms and empty pockets, and pride swallowed one careful day at a time. He scrubbed boats,